welcome. Thank you for clicking on this Smashy Smashy Eggman movie reviews and more video. I'm a little contemplating how I talk about what I'm talking about this week. Mainly because I knew what it was going into it. I knew what it was. It's claimed to be one of the worst movies ever made, and I decided to give it a shot. Because you know what? How bad can it really be? So many movies hold the title of worst movie ever made that, they can't all be the worst. They can't all be that bad. So I got a copy and I checked out, finally, the movie The Room by Tommy Wiseau. So that's what I'm talking about today. But before I get into that, this movie is such a interesting piece of cinematic history, will be the words I use, that it actually spawned a movie about the making of this movie, and about that man, Tommy Wiseau. And that movie is called The Disaster Artist, starring James Franco and Dave Franco. James Franco plays Tommy Wiseau. Dave Franco plays Tommy's best friend, whose name I honestly don't know, Greg Sestero. And it's about how the two of them met in an acting class, and how weird Tommy was because nobody knew his nationality, nobody knew his age, or why he had a lot of money. Eventually, they aren't getting work as actors, so Tommy decides to make his own movie. He writes the script, and he pays for everything, and that movie is The Room. If you really want to see an interesting look at what happened, because they do recreate a lot of the stuff very faithfully, definitely check out The Disaster Artist. It was a really fun movie that just kind of has this weird look at this moment in history that I feel like we can so easily overlook. It is a far, far better movie than the movie it talks about, which is The Room, which I'm still avoiding talking about. Yeah, The Disaster Artist. It's a really good look at this life, at this making, at the people who worked with Tommy, who demanded such weird things as a alleyway to be built on a soundstage that looked identical to an alleyway that was outside of the soundstage. So instead of filming outside in the alley, he spent money to build the alley inside. And then he used it for one shot. I think it was one shot. I honestly think in the final movie, it is a single shot, because it is one of the worst framed things ever. He also randomly decided to move a scene to a weird spot, which is, the movie claims it has deleted scenes. It has an alternate scene, because one scene was originally shot in the alleyway, but then for some reason he decided to move it to a rooftop set they built. And the movie covers that. It covers, him casting, him going to work. The Disaster Artist was a really fun movie. It is worth the watch. However, The Room itself, the movie that Tommy Wiseau wrote, directed, produced, stars in, and actually kept a billboard for a very long time. I think it was a good couple of years. He bought a billboard in Los Angeles to promote the movie and to get people to want to go to screenings of this movie. He very much wanted people to check out this film. And they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have. So what is The Room? I would love to plot crunch this movie, but the plot crunch is literally a dude has a fiancé, the fiancé's cheating on him for an hour and 40 minutes. That's the plot of this movie. This movie has no deeper plot than that. Tommy Wiseau plays the main character. I don't know if he is the main character. Technically, the fiancé who's cheating is the main character, because she is in more of this movie than Tommy Wiseau or Greg Sestero is. This movie is terribly edited. They literally reuse a sex scene. The first half an hour of this movie has 3 of them. One of them is reused, but it's not like reused as in, oh, it's just the same sex scene, but they just reuse some footage to make it longer. No, no, no. Tommy and his fiancée go to have sex, then she screws his best friend, then she screws Tommy again, but it's the same sex scene with some of the exact same footage. It's not even they used remaining footage, it's some of the same shots to create this second sex scene, which they will use that footage a few more times throughout this movie for flashbacks. After that, we meet the fiancé's mother, whose only role in this movie is to tell her love doesn't matter and that she just needs to marry Tommy Wiseau, whose character name is Johnny. I know this because everyone refers to everyone else by their name. So you don't just say, hey, how's it going? It's, hey, Johnny, how's it going? What up, Lisa? How's it going, Mark? Seriously, everybody has to say the character's name. So you will remember these three characters' names because they are said so often. There's also a pervy kid named Denny. That's all I know. He's a pervert who does drugs or sells drugs. I'm not sure. There's a drug storyline for about 3 minutes, and then it's never referred to again. He owes a drug dealer money. The drug dealer threatens him on a rooftop. Supposed to be an alleyway, but they reshot it on a rooftop. And the drug dealer gets hauled off by Johnny and his best friend Mark, who is the one sleeping with his Lisa, who is his girlfriend, fiance. And it's never brought up again. Never even mentioned again. But we meet Lisa's mother, who also apparently has breast cancer for a moment. It's mentioned in one scene. Just kind of dropped out there. There's a lot of that going on in this movie, where dialogue is just kind of said. And every scene has to... I don't know how. This is so poorly written. Because, one, every scene has to have... there's a scene when a dude follows another guy. Mark goes out onto a roof because he knows he's screwing Johnny's fiancée, and he wants... he's feeling bad about it. And their mutual friend, Peter, who's a psychiatrist, follows him to find out what's wrong. To the rooftop. Mark is sitting on the rooftop. Peter walks onto the rooftop and says, "Hi, Mark." He followed him out of a room. You don't greet somebody when you were basically still in the conversation. Also, characters just literally walk in, deliver a handful of dialogue, and then walk out. Like, the entire purpose of their visit was to say these specific words, and nothing feels realistic. Everything feels forced. There is a sex scene on a staircase. I don't know. There's a bed at the top of the staircase. Why the hell are you having sex on the staircase? And it's not even like quick. Like Lisa grabs Mark, takes him up the staircase, stops halfway, and goes, "This is good enough." What the hell? But yeah, there's nothing good about this movie. The dialogue sucks. The pacing sucks. The story is non-existent. You never care for any of these characters because the character I mentioned named Peter, he literally gets replaced in the last half an hour of this movie with a character who's never even given a name. He just shows up and he's clearly delivering lines meant for this other dude. That one I know, the dude who was playing Peter wasn't able to finish the shoot because it ran long, so they just cast a different dude to take the lines. Without ever explaining him, he never shows up anywhere earlier in the movie, and he's just delivering it, he's never given a name. And then he gets a woman who's also never introduced, and then there's these other two characters who apparently go into Lisa and Johnny's apartment to have sex. They're in a she is in more scenes because she actually is a friend of Lisa, and she has a couple of scenes where Lisa talks to her about, being in love with Mark and not with Johnny. That's fine. But her boyfriend literally is in a handful of scenes that seem out of place because he talks about leaving his underwear behind and it being awkward, but it feels like it's a day or two later when he has this conversation with Johnny. It just feels weird. It's a weird conversation. Like, nobody cared. Nobody cared you left your underwear. I don't know why this is dialogue. It's a bad movie. And it wants you to feel emotions by the end, but because you don't feel anything for any of these characters, you don't feel anything at the end of the movie. When, spoiler alert, if you really want to watch this movie, stop the video now, Johnny shoots himself after finding out his girlfriend is cheating on him. Here's the thing, he actually learned that an hour before. Why he shoots himself an hour later is because she said she loved the dude, she loved Mark. Not that she was cheating, not that she was sleeping with Mark, not that she didn't love Johnny anymore. Both statements he already knew an hour before this. He knew both of them. He heard her say, I don't love Johnny anymore, and I'm sleeping with another man. The only thing he doesn't know is with who. He then starts recording the telephone, but apparently never checks it until the very end, when she makes one final phone call to Mark, which he's already figured out is who she's sleeping with, in a scene that has a double beat of them getting into a fight. And that double beat happens, there is no time between it. They get into a fight, the fight is broken up, the next scene they get into another fight. Same. It is bad. This thing is annoying. Like, I got through it. I trudged through this godforsaken movie. Just to see it. How bad could it really be? It can really be that bad. There is so little. Like, and a lot of people go, well, it's so bad, it's funny. I could see ripping this movie apart with friends. I could see doing that. I could see grabbing some of my friends and filming a commentary, making them watch this movie, and having them experience this for the first time. And that might be amusing. But as far as rewatch value, this movie doesn't have any. This movie does not have any rewatch value whatsoever. The Disaster Artist does. The Disaster Artist is a really good movie. It's very well made. The fact that it's based on a movie, or the people who made this movie, this steaming pile of crap which is The Room, this speaks, volumes to James Franco, who is the director of The Disaster Artist, and again plays Tommy Wiseau. Yeah, it's a hard movie to get through by yourself. Again, in a group setting, it might be more entertaining. I can imagine that as a group setting, this movie would be way better. But by yourself, this movie is pretty awful. And it just keeps going. It also doesn't help that my disc didn't play in the first player I put it in. It played for a little bit, and then it wouldn't play anymore, so I had to switch to a different player, which added time as well. Overall, I don't recommend The Room. I recommend Disaster Artist. Disaster Artist was a really good movie, and I think it told the story really well, and it did give you a good enough idea of what to expect in The Room, because it really does try to recreate a lot of the scenes from The Room as they're filming it. And The Room itself, it's just not worth it. Everything, again, this is poorly written. It's poorly written. The acting is probably as good as you're going to get out of these actors. They might be very talented people outside of this, but this is about as good as they were going to get. Also, this movie has no idea how much time it's taking. Like, Johnny and Lisa are meant to be married in a month. This statement is made many, 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 many times. Lisa hasn't bought a dress yet, which if I was the groom, would have already been concerning a month before the wedding. And for some reason, the groomsmen are trying on tuxedos in their apartment. I don't know why. Because they didn't have a set for an actual rental shop? Did they rent? Did they buy? Do these people just own tuxedos? There's no way the pervy kid owns a tuxedo. So, yeah, no way the pervy kid. Also, again, they don't really explain how they say Johnny works at a bank, and he's looking to get a promotion, meaning he's not that high up on the pecking order of the bank, but yet he pays for 2 apartments, his apartment and Denny's apartment, and he buys Cars? They might have 2 cars. They might have 1 car. I'm not sure how many cars they have. I just, this movie makes no sense. I don't understand it. Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what exactly I just watched with The Room. It's not a good movie. It's not good. It's very, very painful. Very bad movie. I can't not recommend this. Like, don't watch this movie. It is not worth it. It is not worth it. It is not worth it. But again, check out The Disaster Artist. That was a really good movie. Alright, I'm done talking about The Room. So, we have 2 weeks left of this month of February. Next week, I will be talking about one of my favorite movies. A classic from before my time, but I watched it a lot as a kid, and that is Batman the movie from 1966. That is the Adam West Batman movie. As we draw closer to me wrapping up these weekly Wednesday videos for a time. Yeah, we only got 2 weeks left of it. So please like, comment, subscribe. If you watch The Room, let me know. Let me know if maybe you watched it with a group and it was actually really entertaining. Because by yourself, this movie is not entertaining. Yeah. Otherwise, I will talk to you next week. Have a good one.